Hey, welcome back to another video lecture for Mr. Mosier's 8th grade U.S. History class. It's Manifest Destiny. You can't stop it. Neither can I. We are going west. America continues to march towards the Pacific Ocean on the west coast. We're getting closer and closer. We've got a few more pieces of land that America is going to be picking up. Today's focus is going to be looking at Oregon country. This is found on your textbook on page 355. Our guiding questions today are: why was Oregon country contested territory? What was meant by President James K Polk's slogan of 54-40 or fight? And then how was war avoided with Great Britain? So those are going to be our main questions today that we're going to be tackling and addressing today on this video. So here's where we left off with. The United States is getting bigger. We are getting more land and more territory. We picked up the Louisiana Purchase thanks to President Thomas Jefferson getting that land as part of that treaty with the French. Doubling the size of the United States, giving us the port city of New Orleans so our farmers have a place to sell their crops without having to worry about crossing over the Appalachian Mountains. We talked about Florida being picked up because General Andrew Jackson invades Spanish-controlled Florida to try to get after those raiders of Native Americans, the Seminoles, and also these runaway slaves. And of course, last time we talked about Texas wins its independence. Remember the Alamo! The Texans secure their independence from Mexico, and it takes 10 years for them to be added on because of the issue of slavery, but they do get added in as the 28th state. So now America is this whole region right here. Everything east, basically, of the Rocky Mountains, everything west of the Rocky Mountains is still territory not claimed by the United States yet. But we're going to find out today how that all takes shape here. So let's talk here today about Oregon country, which is this large section of land right here. Oregon's kind of a unique situation here because there were multiple countries that actually laid claim to this land and territory. To the far northern part of the Oregon country, part of Russia actually, the country of Russia actually laid claim to some of this land. At this time, Russia actually had colonies in what we today call Alaska, which stretch all the way from the far part of North America down towards the Pacific coastline. And Russia claimed a little bit of that land here too. Great Britain, which controlled Canada, claimed this land here as well. You had Mexico here to the south that laid some claim to this land and territory here as well. And then of course you had the United States and Great Britain. And Lewis and Clark actually came down through the Snake River on their journey to the west to explore the Louisiana Territory. They didn't stop here at this boundary of the Louisiana Territory. They continued toward the Pacific Ocean along the Snake River and were able to build a fort here along the ocean front. So the United States laid claim to this land too, as well as long as Great Britain, Russia, and Mexico. But probably the two biggest players who wanted this land was probably the British and the Americans. And so these are probably the two countries that had probably the greatest claim to that land and that territory. While running for president, James K Polk campaign slogan was 54-40 or fight, and what he meant by that slogan was that he wanted the boundary between the United States and Mexico as the Oregon Territory to be the 54th line of latitude, 54-40 degrees. This line right here, this is going to be the boundary, and we're going to fight Britain for it if they don't give it to us. And so throughout the election, Polk is a huge believer in manifest destiny. America's got to go west. It's got to gain land. It's got to gain territory. And the Oregon Territory, this is for the United States. And we are willing to fight you, Great Britain. This would be the third time we fought Great Britain since the War for Independence. We had the War for Independence. We have the War of 1812, and then maybe another war here now, here in 1840s. So Polk is kind of what we call saber rattling. He's saying we want that land. We're going to go to war for it if you don't give it to us. Now, neither side really wanted to go to war, even though Polk was a very loud spokesman of saying 54-40 or fight. In reality, neither side really wanted to go to war. And so Great Britain does come back to the negotiation table and says, why don't we make it the 49th parallel? Why don't we just bring the boundary down just a smidge and make it at the 49th parallel line, which does become the new boundary between the United States. And if you ever noticed that on a map how America, the United States, here towards the top, it's pretty flat because it follows that 49-degree line of latitude all the way across that map here till we get to the Great Lakes. So that kind of establishes our official boundary between Canada and the United States. And we can thank James K Polk campaign running for president, governor from Tennessee, saying 54-40 your fight, give us this territory, give us this land, or we're going to fight you for it. But at the end of the day, Great Britain says, no, we don't really want to go to war with you guys over this land. How about we just make this the boundary? Are you cool? And America goes, yes, we'll take it. And that becomes a new boundary. And so we now pick up the Oregon country, which is made up of today's states of like Idaho and Oregon and Washington. So here we go. Oregon becomes our new territory, and we'll be learning more about how some pioneers are going to start heading towards on the Oregon Trail to try and settle in that new land and that new territory. As always, thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again.